Bonjour, étudiants de français. Here is a little bit of review for your quiz 2 in Unit 5. I wanted to do this review because the verbs, the ER verbs in this unit are a bit overwhelming. So maybe I'm hoping a little bit of going over them will help you remember them. So first of all, vocabulary for this quiz. I narrowed it down to the ones you all really have to know for the quiz. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't study the rest because you'll need to read and understand what they are, but these are the words that you're going to have to know in order to choose the best answer to questions. So, anniversaire means birthday. Majeur, it literally means major, but it means that one has reached the age of 18. So, in other words, you're no longer a minor. The verb organiser means to organize. Inviter, to invite. Décorer, to decorate. Acheter, to buy. Emmener, to take. Now, that's literally to take something. All right, so you're literally taking something away with you. Now, it's not like take a picture or anything like that, but emmener is if you are physically taking something with you when you leave. Protéger, to protect. Célébrer, to celebrate. And des invités are people who are invited to a function. All right, so a little bit of culture that you're going to need to know for this quiz is in France, there is a big party for the 18th birthday. Sometimes in the United States, we have big birthday parties for a 16th birthday because someone gets to drive or they're sweet 16, something like that. And a lot of times there'll be a big party for the 21st birthday. But in France, it's the 18th birthday when you're no longer a minor. Okay, and then to change gears a little bit, Bastille Day is the French Independence Day, la Fête Nationale Française. And it is le 14 juillet, 14th of July, and it commemorates the storming of the Bastille, a French prison, in 1789. So, the other piece of culture that you'll need to know for this quiz is la Déclaration des droits de l'homme et du citoyen. The Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen was modeled after the USA's Declaration of Independence, and it was used for France's independence from the monarchy. Okay, so at that time, the reason they had a revolution was because the monarchy was very powerful, controlled everything, and they were very rich, while the rest of the people were very, very poor. And so the people had an uprising and they overthrew the monarchy. All right, so we have, now comes the verbs that are a little bit tricky. You already know how to conjugate regular ER verbs. And this isn't that different, except that some ER verbs change a little bit in spelling or with accents. So these are ER verbs that change accents, like acheter, to buy, j'achète. So do you notice there is an accent grave over that first E? And to achète, same thing. Il or elle achète, same accent grave. Nous achetons. Okay, there is no accent grave on nous achetons or vous achetez because it doesn't make the eh sound. The accent grave wants to make you say the eh sound. So j'achète, do you hear that eh? Tu achètes. They want to make sure that you're making the eh sound. Il and elle achètent. Now listen in nous achetons and vous achetez, you don't really even hear that E. That's why there's no accent grave there. So at the end, an il and elle achète. Okay, that works the same way for the following verbs. Préférer, to prefer. Compléter, to complete. Répéter, to repeat. Posséder, to possess or to own. And protéger, to protect. So it's only in préférer, it's only that last accent that becomes the accent grave, just like an acheter. And compléter, répéter, posséder, protéger, it's those last E's that have the accent grave. Okay? If there's two accents in there, only the second one becomes the accent grave, just as in acheter. Okay? And remember that in French, the accents are part of the spelling. So if you are not able, for some reason, to put an accent on a word when you are spelling it on a test or something that makes a difference, let me know and I will go in and change it if you've gotten it wrong. Because some computers aren't allowing people to put in the accents. And so the students just tell me where they were supposed to go and I go in and give them the point. Since the computer can't make that judgment for you, then I will. So if you've gotten it wrong because you can't put an accent in there for some reason, you need to let me know to go in and change it. Okay, these are ER verbs that end in AA and YA. Remember the OY and the OI always say wa in French. So nettoyer means to clean. So you'll notice in some of these that the OY has changed to the OI. Okay, so it's je nettoie, tu nettoies with the IE, il, elle, nettoie with the IE. Okay, nous nettoyons and vous nettoyez, keep the Y. If there is a whole other syllable after the Y, it can stay a Y. If there's not another syllable, it goes to an I, like nettoie. Okay, there's not another syllable after the I, only another letter, not a syllable. So it has to change to I. So that's why il and elle nettoie, the plural at the end, even though there's lots of letters after it, there's not another syllable. So the Y has to change to an I. And if you don't remember the rule, you'll just have to memorize how they are. Other verbs that work that way are envoyer, to send, payer, to pay, and essayer de, to try to. Okay, ER verbs that end in GER, like nager, to swim. Okay, it starts out just like you know an ER verb to start out. Je nage, tu nages, il and elle nage. The only difference is in nous nageons, you need to keep the E before the O, or in French it would say nagon. And they don't like that kind of hard consonant sound in French. It's just the way they are. So the only spelling change in VR verbs that end in GER is you have to keep the E in the new form. Nous nageons. Then vous nagez, il and elle nage are the same exact way that you have learned to conjugate ER verbs. Other verbs that work that way are voyager, to travel, exiger, to demand, corriger, to correct, manger, to eat, and partager, to share. ER verbs that end in CER. You have to have the cedilla, which you can't quite see in this slide because it is underlined, because of course this program wants to correct everything I've done wrong because it's not in English. So the cedilla, do you remember that accent, is the little one under the C that looks like the bottom of a 5. And it makes the C sound like S instead of K. soft C sound. So, in the new form, you have to add the cedille under the second C. Because remember, before the O, it'll make a hard sound, just like in nageons. You had to put the E to make it soft. In commençons, you have to put the cedille, the little bottom of the 5, under the second C to make it say S. So we have je commence, tu commences, il, elle commence, nous commençons. If you don't put the little cedille, it's going to be commençons, and that'll be wrong. So then you have vous commencez, and il and elle commence. So, phew, we are done with the ER verbs. So, some random review from the past. You'll have to choose the best answer to these 2 following questions. Êtes-vous occupé? Are you occupied or are you busy? You're going to have some answers to choose from. And you will have to choose it'll be multiple choice. You'll have to answer correctly to êtes-vous occupé? And another question you'll have to choose an answer to is voulez-vous jouer au volley? Remember, it is do you want to play volleyball? And then the next thing you'll have to do is you'll have to choose the best question for this answer. Unlike in Jeopardy, they give you the answer, you have to find the question. Oui, j'ai envie de faire du jogging. Okay, these 2 columns don't have anything to do with each other. They're all going to be 3 different questions. Oui, j'ai envie de faire du jogging. Yes, I want to go jogging. So you're going to have to find the correct way to ask the question in the multiple choice. So, des questions, questions, always ask me. Use your help button, call, send an email if you have a question. If you are watching this recording, you must call me to get credit. There's both of my phone numbers. Please try both before leaving a message. And I hope that you do very well on this test. Au revoir, à bientôt.